Hello there from the other side of the screen. I'm so excited to have you one more time. My name is Nikita Makwana, and sitting beside me, as always, is my one and only husband and my co-host of the Makwanas Podcast. Say.
Thank you so much. You know, every time when you say my name is Nikita, in my head it plays your Chinese language teacher.
Oh, yes.
All
because
the time. All the
sometimes
time. My name is
Hi,
Nikita.
my name is
It's
Nikita,
like
your
the
Chinese language teacher.
So every time I want to say Nikita, for me, I complete with your Chinese language teacher.
Oh, yes, because
So-
I used to shoot videos, and
Yeah.
I actually shoot videos like
Yeah.
Chinese, teaching Chinese. So.
Yes. So thank you so much for hosting us. I
Let
really
me make
enjoyed
sure
this.
that you remember. Hi, my name is Nikita Makwana.
Yes. My name is Mompoloki Makwana, your husband. I really enjoy these sessions. I look forward to them. And I know most of the time when we're sitting down, it's like, which topic can we talk about? There's a lot that we want to share about. Man, there's a lot to share about. So thank you so much for hosting us.
Yes, I think that one of the things that we are actually getting to appreciate about podcasting is unfiltered conversations.
Yes.
You know, just sitting down and talking to someone, getting their unedited thoughts.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like just sitting here and speaking to Mr. Makwana. Yo, it's Mr. Coach Mr. Makwana, my husband.
Yes.
So just getting to hear you speak and sharing your thoughts. And like, you know, by the way, like previously we shared this, that we always go through our conversations over and over and over again, just to listen to the things that we are saying and just to appreciate. We actually listen to other podcasts as well.
Yeah.
I feel like podcasts are really amazing because people get to share their thoughts, share their ideas without,
Without any filtration.
without any filtration, and they're real.
And I was telling you last time about how, I was asking you, why do people get on podcasts and then it's like all of a sudden they want to talk about things they never talk about?
Yeah.
You remember the podcast we were watching? The guy was talking about how their neighbors bewitch them. It's the Magji podcast.
It's the-
And
yes.
I was like, so what did you do? Do you lawyer them back? Like,
Oh, yeah, it was-
the kind of conversation people have on the podcast, and
They're
I think
deep. They're always deep.
and they are really life
They're
transforming. And we should never, take for granted as producers, as creators, even the other people who are doing podcasting, that are doing whether it's voice or what, never take for granted your audience. Never take for granted your audience, because people are always listening.
Yes.
I was actually watching one of the guys. He was hosted by the guy you follow a lot. He said he used to stay in Botswana, who they died of a CEO.
Oh yeah. Actually, the guy from the Dragon's Den,
From
is
the-
it Steven?
Yeah, I think it's Steven.
I remember,
think it's
from
Steven.
the
so he hosted
the CEO,
the
the
guy.
diary of the CEO.
Yes, he hosted one person, and the guy said when he started the YouTube thing,
Yeah.
teaching people about relationships, marriage, and stuff like that. He said there were 11 views, and mostly because his mother would watch more, so it became 11.
Yeah.
And then he didn't know that 11th view was from Oprah Winfrey. Someone recommended, say, I know this guy who does this thing. Oprah Winfrey went on YouTube, searched the guy. He found he was doing content. Oprah said she was only interested to see how committed he was to continue to produce. And then after producing, what ended up happening was Oprah ended up calling him
Yeah.
so that he can have his show now on the Oprah Winfrey Network. Today is one of the leading people when it comes to
I actually-
relationships and stuff like that.
I didn't watch that. It sounds very interesting.
Yes.
So basically, it has on the issue of consistency. I think
It
it's
was
something
the
we
issue
should.
of consistency and putting out content.
Yeah,
And
taking yourself
out there.
Wow. When you started talking, there is something that you pointed out that
Yeah.
I feel is very important. Is when you started talking about it, I was
Yeah.
thinking about it,
Yeah.
and I believe it's the Holy Spirit who dropped
Yeah.
something in my mind.
Yeah.
You said that when people go or they sit in podcasts, there is a way that they talk.
Yeah.
Like, whenever I watch a podcast, I feel like there is this, I don't know, this fire that comes out of people.
Yeah.
And I feel this also when I speak to you in a podcast. I know that we have deep conversations in the house, and I've seen how, I like talking. I like talking, and I've
Yeah.
realized that when I actually, when we met, I saw you doing your work. I was thinking, hey, you talk, only to realize that, man, you only talk a lot when you are on the calling, like when you're doing the work.
Yeah.
But you find talking a lot really like overwhelming. There are topics that you are very selective of, especially you love talking about personal development and all that. So I think that when you talked about the fire that people have when they go to a platform like a podcast, they just open up and they talk in such a way like, well, I don't think I knew this person the way that I thought I knew them.
I see.
And what comes to my mind, like I said, is I feel like the reason why people talk like that is because they feel listened to.
Okay.
A podcast gives people a platform to express who they are without anybody referencing like their past to them.
Yeah.
Like nobody's boxing you when you're in a podcast. So you have the liberty to speak, to share your thoughts without feeling judged. You know, somebody's basically in a podcast. What happens? People give you undivided attention. And I feel like if we did that also in real life, because actually podcasts, by the way, are real life.
They're real life conversations.
These are real life conversations, and I feel like if we gave people a chance to open up to talk without, you know, clicking our phones while they are doing that, without doing other things, we'll actually know people for who they are, to know their thoughts. You know, so uninterrupted.
Yeah, unedited.
So basically, that's just what I thought once you talked about people are beasts when they're on podcasts. They are talking, they're outspoken, they say things that, man, I think I need to pay this guy for saying these things. Because also, the podcasts are educational, they, you know, they're life transforming. You get to know people for who they are, like I just said. And I feel like they're amazing people in our homes, in our houses, in our workplaces, and we don't give them the attention that they need. That's why we don't know them. It's only you, when I talk to you, because you're my student, you're like, wait, I'm looking for the assignment, you know, like you're a student and I'm like, I want the assignment, and I just it's a
one-way stream.
So I don't really get to know like people for who they are. And one of the things that I actually learned on relationship building is that you have to give people an opportunity to talk and to be themselves. So one of the things that I try to do, especially when I interact with my students, is to allow them to be themselves, and also to be myself, because also for me it's very interesting to teach. Actually, in the university you're teaching young adults and you're just a little bit older than them. Some of them are actually older than me. So just to try not to be very rigid, like I don't know how to put it, but I actually can't say I try my best. But what I do, I just be myself so that people understand me for who I am. Who is Nikita apart from lecturing Chinese? Who are you apart from being the intercultural strategist?
Apart from being the Forbes nominated, we have to have the congratulations, by the way, on the Forbes nominating you. Exactly. Congratulations on that, man.
Thank you, man.
I'm super excited for you. I was talking to one of my friends. He said, oh, why not? This is the only person, when you think of language, when you think of intercultural communications, this is the go-to person.
So your girl is a Forbes delegate.
Yes, 2023, man.
It's mind-blowing.
You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking sooner or later, even before you are 30, before you are 31, man, I think you're
going to... But are you telling people how old I am? Because everybody else today be thinking I'm 33 this year.
Nah, you're not 33. You're not 33. So what happens is...
Are you going to pay me?
I'm prophesying on the broadcast there. But before you are even 30, man, before you are even complete with the years you are at right now, you are going to be on the cover of the Forbes Under 30. I really foresee that. And
I receive it.
And you know, it's a matter of nomination. It's a matter of submitting what the work you are doing. It's a matter of submitting the ground you have covered. And then they assess you, and then they get back to you and say, no, you qualify. And the normally people think, no, it's only about money, we make billions. No. It's about also impact. It's about also influence that you have. And I'm looking forward to learn from you when you come from the network, because I know how deeper conversation you have. Talking about how podcast amplifies the voice. I think for me, even the inspiration to say, let us have a podcast. Even we say, no, let's get married first, and then we do it officially.
And by the way, that was a good move. That was a good move. Imagine Hela,
No.
You don't want me to go there,
No.
but no, I'm gonna go there for a minute.
Wow.
So it was actually a good move. We always had while we were dating, we always had the idea of podcasting. Why? Because we always had deep thoughts, deep ideas. We were like, hey, man, we love having deep conversations.
Yeah.
So we felt like, we need to document this, but we didn't know how to document it. And we were like, oh, how about podcasting? So there was a point where like, hey, Lord, we because we had to go through the waiting and the whole process getting married before the podcast. And for me, I was very clear, like no podcasting before we get married.
Don't post me.
And don't post me.
Okay, so
I it's a topic for another day, but it didn't.
Okay.
There was a point where papi can't papi no postile.
Yeah, I think so.
We're gonna go, hey, now get to post you officially.
Yes.
O sa mpontsha moruti wa go kerekeng ya lona, the official time manyalo. So imagine my parents bampona ke postile ke man for what, for the who, for the why.
And the internet is an official embedder. People see things official from the internet.
Can you imagine?
And sometimes I think that's just a very powerful thing we need to talk about.
Yeah.
And when we talked about doing podcast, what brought the conversation to say let's have a podcast? It was because we were already having meaningful conversations.
Yes.
Regarding the work you do or the Chinese and how you want to open the world to understand what Chinese operates and how you want to make people to connect through your Go Global program.
Yeah.
And the conversation we're having, we're realizing this is more than a podcast. This is more than a book.
Yeah.
And for me, I think now the podcast, because they are here now and amplifying the conversations we are having already.
Yeah.
Some of them, they're still filtered. We understand. Some of them, they are raw as we know them, including ours. It's just a conversation that we have, no editing, right?
Yeah.
I feel like now, as you listen to this, let's now take the information we get and let it be an awareness for us to have more meaningful conversations beyond the podcast.
Yeah.
To have discussions, to meet up, even with our friends, to start challenging us to having deeper conversations so that we know we are dealing with issues of depression.
Yeah.
We are dealing with issues of job losses. People are losing jobs, man. And technology is taking over.
Yeah.
Now, we can chill and still have these conversations.
Yeah.
We can still bring it home to how we are parenting. Mother's Day is coming. Your Father's Day is coming. The Women's Month is past. Basically, every season there's a conversation to be had. And it's not only chosen for the selected few who have the platform. So for me, it's, can we be able to take this deeper into our yards, into our homes, and into our circles to have these meaningful conversations that can be able to drive real change in our community? The podcasts are already doing that. Let us intend that we are going to drive these conversations beyond that. So I wanted to add that, especially when we talked about how the podcast is amplifying the voice.
Yeah.
I think also it amplifies the voice of those who are not able to share their experiences, but they are looking at someone, they say, Mr. Makwana, when you talk about this, I can relate as a young man, growing up without a father, and now having to grow yourself up, having to put yourself out there, and believing that you can do things even without the close mentorship of a father figure in your yard. And so these kind of conversations now, they move people from the shelves who are thinking artificially like, Mr. Makwana is doing well maybe because they have mentors. It's been a long time to until 21, 22 when I met my spiritual father, BF Rams. 22 years is enough year for programming. And it takes more than 20 years to reprogram. And so now having this kind of conversations, let them now bring us to a space where we are able to say, look, I have my sister, we grew up in this abusive home. How do you feel about it?
Yeah.
Are you still stuck in there? We have to bring these conversations home so that we are able to heal as a nation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. I think that sometimes when I listen to you speaking to me, there are moments where I zone. I don't know, I can't say zoning out, but something like that. I know we are having...
Get into the message.
Yes, I get into the message and sometimes coming back now to like, to add, I find it a bit challenging.
Because it ignites a thought process in you.
It ignites a thought process.
This relates to me.
This
is what I know.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. So that, like I I said this previously, that when I'm with you, I listen to you talking, and sometimes I know you're my co-host, but I sometimes zoom and start listening to the coach.
Yes.
And I think for a moment I did exactly that. So
what was coming to your mind when I was having this kind of starting conversations in our backyards, in our homes, in our workplaces?
The first thing that just came to my mind before I go there was, remember you were having this speaking engagement, and we met a lot of some newbie students, yes, and they were very curious, from the Raphael Academy, and they were really curious, and some of them were asking, like, what is the podcast about? They thought it's about just lovey-dovey, me putting my head in your shoulder. By the way, I do that for a living.
Yes, full-time job.
It's a full-time job. It's part of it, and it's not something that we are like denying not to talk about love, relationship, and all that.
We talk about relationships.
Oh well, we do that, but this podcast, intentionally, when we made it, is to share our thoughts and to just give a platform, like you said, to the people who are not able to come forth and to express themselves, to express their thoughts, or basically just people who don't have the platform, you get what I'm saying. So, and it doesn't have to be certain people, really different kinds of people. And even as the podcast is growing and, God taking it to whatever heights, that only God knows, because it's only Him who can. There's not telling in how far a man can go. There's not telling in how far a podcast can go. There's not telling in how many people this conversation can reach. And every single day we sit, we have this conversation, we are mindful of that. And like you say, whenever we shoot a podcast, sometimes we go, we find, 800 and something views. You say, these are souls.
Yeah,
these are 800 or 900 plus families represented. Yes. And the way you look at it actually is so humbling. Really is. It's so humbling that you look at people as souls, and you look beyond just, somebody clicked, somebody watched, we have many views, we have many subscribers. And that's just one of the things that really blesses my heart. Every time I hear you talking about it, I'm like, wow, I'm so happy that you look at it from that angle. So you're asking me what is coming to my mind when I talk about this. I think I can say quite a lot regarding basically being given a platform. People want to be heard. People want to be listened. And people have a lot to say. And sometimes what people have, it ends in their minds. Nobody ever gets to hear about their thoughts. And that is what depresses people. It's not what they don't have. It's having a lot. It's being bloated with greatness, and you don't know where to take it. You feel like there is no platform for me to say this. You have the skill, you have the talent, but are like, where do I take this? You feel like you don't have a chance. So I feel like most of the times when people are getting depressed, they're not getting depressed because there is no money. They're depressed because they have a skill that has the ability to pay, but maybe there is no a platform for expressing that. And really, I think podcasts have become platforms for transformation. People are seen in podcasts. They see themselves even in people speaking. Absolutely. So they feel represented. They feel represented. That's just how powerful it is. And it's not only like only on podcasts. Even every day when I'll give you an example. I usually do live videos. I teach on intercultural intelligence. It's basically called CQ, intercultural competence, how to basically thrive in multicultural or in diverse contexts. When you're working with people from different countries, how do you work? How do you make sure that even when you move from Botswana, you go to the US, you go to Tanzania, whatever country, you are still able to thrive, to be excellent, and to be seen? That's what intercultural intelligence is all about. I teach about Chinese. I do quite a lot of things. And then as soon as I finish the live feed, I receive messages. Hi, Nikita. Hi, Mrs. Makwana. I saw you doing this, and I've actually been losing hope on my career. But because I've seen you going out and teaching, I'm like, well, this Chinese thing is doable. is somebody basically seeing themselves in what I do, even if they felt like I can't do this.
Even if it's a different language,
even
like
if
German,
it's a different, absolutely,
absolutely. Root
they see the root
themselves in you.
Absolutely, and that is actually how even myself, I made sure that I can't say to transition, but I basically expand my skills. Just move from being a teacher who teaches Chinese to being a teacher who impacts people's lives. When I stand before people, I'm not really interested about you understanding Chinese only. I'm not interested in you just seeing the lecturer who stands in front of you. I want to see you to see a girl who grew up in Kasani, a girl who grew up in Kazungula. I used to go to Kazungula to fish. I'm actually very good at fishing. I want you to see that girl and see her growing, see her transforming, see her gaining her voice, and now standing in front of you and teaching and speaking to you, basically to see behind, to see the journey, the before this. You get what I'm saying? So that is something that every time I teach people, I'm so interested in. Can you see my yesterday? Can you see where I am going? See beyond just what I'm teaching, the subject. Because I know that when you stand in front of people, really, there are a lot of things that you are painting there.
True.
It's not only what I'm teaching. I'm teaching Chinese, but there are other things that you see. And I talked about expanding myself just as a teacher to know that, well, I don't only teach Chinese. I can teach anything. I can teach people how to do things that I do well. And I can teach people to embrace who they are. That's the power. One time I shared this with you some time ago. We were seated it was actually on a Sunday service. So we had our dad, Apostle David Grace. He was teaching, all right? And then he started talking about teachers. And he was talking about, all of us, we know what is happening right now with education and how students are performing. He was empowering us, and by the way, he didn't do it for 10 minutes. He did it for less than 5 minutes, and that was enough to change my mind. You know what he said? He asked every teacher to rise. He said, every teacher here, can you rise? And we rose. And he said, when you're a teacher, you can teach people anything. Did you hear that? You can teach people anything. You can just train someone. I took this person. I took this person and I was like, you know what? I can teach people anything. And I don't have to just be stuck in teaching one subject. I try to look, what else do I know? I can sing, and there are people who want to sing, but they don't know like what to do with the song they have written. I can recommend them to go to a certain studio that I know. I've been to China and people want to work with the Chinese people. Instead of teaching them the language, I can also teach them on
the lifestyle,
of the Chinese,
the expectations,
And now being married, when we're doing the marriage counseling, remember what our counselor said?
Yes, I remember.
He said that after you get married, you are living the life, and you can guide someone, you can teach somebody 2 or 3 things about marriage. So basically, when you learn, you are learning. And then after you learn, it's no longer for you to keep. It's for you to teach. And it means that you can even teach people bad things. So when you're a teacher, basically, you can teach anything, and it's up to you to decide what to teach.
That's very powerful. And when you're talking from an element of embodying who you are and taking out as a message to the people, and allowing people to learn from you, allowing people to be developed by your commitment you have made to yourself to work on yourself, right? It's very, very, very key. And it's very, very important for us to pay attention to that. When you're talking about allowing yourself to be yourself, seeing from people you learn from, whether it's podcast, video, whether it's the book you are reading. I was thinking of what the connection you've made with the audience that we had this past weekend at UB. And I saw the transition from, you just came with me, you accompanied me to the event, because after that you were going somewhere to the studio for your new coming song. Man, I can't wait for you to listen to that. Guys.
The girl is actually in the mood. I'm in the mood. You know what? I don't know how to say it. You know that sometimes you feel like you're caged. I feel like I'm no longer seeking opportunities. I'm kicking doors open. I don't want to die with my gifts. I don't want to die with the song trapped in me. I want to release everything that God has put inside of me at the time that He has set. God, I don't want the girl. I don't want to disappoint Nick, the little girl that dreamt. I don't want to disappoint her.
What got you to that moment?
Are you back? You're about to say something, but
okay, I wanted to say, the connection.
So
No, don't be apologetic about this. Is something that I really wanted, and I felt like, okay, I should allow you to express that. It's something you say every day. You even say to your producer, fella, I say, I don't want to die with my sons. He was like, man, this is what I want to do. I'm excited. This is the kind of music I want to produce. And I was saying, when I was talking there, there was a level of connection you developed with people.
Yeah.
So when you talk about you embodying your craft, embodying your message, and knowing that you are a message to the world, even before you speak, even before you carry the mic, even before they call you a teacher at school, already you are a message in the move. And be mindful about that you are a living podcast.
Yeah.
You are a living podcast, and every day as we interact with people, you are planting seeds in their thoughts. You are taking shape and planting whatever seeds that you are planting in their lives. This is a statement that I talked about that resonated with you when I told those students that it's okay to be you.
To be different.
It's okay to be different. I told them because God does not create duplicates.
Absolutely.
He creates unique human beings. I'm just thinking of the song from Royal Assembly. Spirit being. You are a spirit being infused with talents and gifts. And every day when you walk around, you kill people who have to benefit from you when you want to be like other people. And therefore, when you talk about the power and the impact of the content that is created around the world every day, and the content we learn from our fathers at home, our mothers at home, it's okay to take a stand back and say, I can hear you as my mother, but deep in my heart, this is what I feel I was created to be. I know
not saying it out of
and not saying
rebellion,
it out of rebellion, but saying it out of understanding that the whole generation depends on our ability to open certain doors today, to be able to stand boldly for the things that people don't believe in yet. There's a point where people in the public speaking space, they were not paid a thing. They were just motivational speakers. And some of them, we know them, our forefathers, our David Grace, we know B.F. Rams, Prophet B.F. Rams. But then they were not paid as much as what the environment is creating today, where you can now even become a coach. So the ability to recognize that and, to say, there are people who have already sacrificed. For me, to die in silence will not be good.
Absolutely.
For me to die with music, this music, it's an insult to those who have shown us it's possible we can become.
Absolutely.
Right? So I want us to be mindful about that you are unique, okay? But there are people out there who resembles what you can go and where you can go. Your book is unique, but we have millions of authors. Your song is unique. We have millions of songs. Let that be a story enough to inspire you to know it's possible and to have a stand where it pushes you to kick the doors you talked about. That's why I was asking the question, what really brought you to that moment of, say, the girl is in the mood? And I can see, I feel it every day. Even when you wake up, I know, hey man, if I'm not doing anything here, I'm going to be in trouble. Because this person is intentional about living their dreams. There used to be a person that I look myself and say, I'm really pushing, but I can see that pushing you. I can see that intention. We're just coming from the seminar where you connected with young people and they even wanted to take photos with you, not even with me. Can you imagine? I was like, this is beautiful. So at the end of the day, even when we were coming from there, you were coming from the seminar. The guy called and said, no, the beat is ready. We just went to see the beat. Only to get there and I'm like, if we can be here, we can sing. You recorded the song.
Absolutely.
What brings you to an element where now, because some people are in that state, babe, you have the information. You have been inspired. You have been encouraged. When are we coming to see your launch? when are we coming to see your song? Like
you're
we were
reminding me
yes,
of
like
what they
Prophet
said.
Biafram said
Yes.
at the music launch.
Yeah.
When are we coming for your launching?
Yeah.
What has brought you from just the single you have released, already you have released a single, to moving you to say there's more that can be done?
Wow. You know what I'm thinking? There's just so much that I can cover on that.
Yeah.
But there is this, should I say, is a mantra that I say, we are not here forever, and we have a God to answer to.
Thank you for bringing it up.
So that
We're not
mantra,
here forever.
we are not here forever,
And
we have
here,
a God to answer
to.
to. So that really is, if you paid attention to my posts, whether it's on LinkedIn, everywhere, I put it at the last. Because I feel like, people need to be aware of, people need to be aware that they're not going to be alive forever. And sometimes when I'm just seated, not that I have like the consciousness of, I'm gonna die, but it's just recognizing that God has given me time, and I'm also not going to be I'm not going to be young forever, you know. I'm not going to be...
Okay. I'm not going to be young forever. I was like, what the heck?
I really want to life, my podcast. Welcome to the Makwanas Podcast. Yeah, so I'm also recognizing that I'm not going to be young forever. One of the things that really also inspires me, I'm a teacher and I lecture young adults. So these are dreamers, and I love having conversations with my students, like just beyond the whatever the
classroom setup.
Yes, the topic that we are going to have. And I recognize that sometimes when you're a lecturer, the students, when they see, they think you have all the answers. And they think you have everything figured out. But the thing is, you are also figuring a lot of things out.
Man, even as a coach, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So people, they just think you have everything figured out. And people come to you to receive answers from your lips. And sometimes you don't have these answers. And sometimes you are just lazy.
True.
And it's hard to mentor or to guide people if you are doing nothing with your life.
No proof of progress.
Exactly.
True.
So I feel like being a teacher alone, it really inspires me to be a better version of myself, and also the caliber of basically the kind of students that I'm teaching. I have excellent students. I have dreamers in my classes, and I know that they have dreams, and I know that most of them, they don't have people that they can look up to and say, I want to be like this person, or I want to launch this thing. So I understand that everybody that is in my circle, everybody that is around me is ministered to by everything that I do. When I go to the studio and I record my music, they see my music playing. Sometimes they come to me and say, hey, I saw you on BTV. And I'm like, that's right. Because I want them not to see Nikita the teacher. I want them to know, this is Nikita the teacher. This is Nikita the singer, this is Nikita this and Nikita that. A lot of things.
The multi-talented.
I don't want to be boxed with a title. I want to multiply my gifts. And sometimes really, in as much as I'm saying that I'm kicking the doors and I'm kicking the doors open, because I'm like, things have to be done.
Yes.
And if I don't do them, no one is coming to sing my song for me.
Sure.
No one is gonna record the song for me. And if I don't create platforms for myself, I might never even get an opportunity where somebody say, come and do this. Yeah. So that's why I'm very intentional about doing things. And I previously, I know we talked about a tide.
Yeah.
In this life, there are seasons and there are times. You decide which season is yours. You decide. It could be hard. Things may not be like, people can complain about the economy and everything, but you decide which season is yours. There are many seasons of crying, seasons of doing things, but you can decide what season it is in your life. So I just decided to make that in this very season, I will do everything that I promised God I would do. Every thought, every idea that God had dropped in my mind, I don't want to discard those thoughts anymore.
Yeah.
I want to take them and do something with them and trust that as I do that, God will sponsor me. And as you have seen, God has been sponsoring my ideas. Like when I just trust God, I want to do this, I'm planning about this. God is like, girl, I gave you that idea, so don't talk like it's yours.
Yes.
You get, so it's
I'm
for
here
me.
to get it out.
I'm here to
you.
sponsor, yes. So I feel like as the thoughts are dropping in your mind, go out and do something about them. Because if you don't, you might never.
Yeah. You also limit how far God is willing to go
to take you.
Yeah. And because through you, He is being glorified.
Absolutely.
And so God is always waiting for someone who can go out.
Who can go out.
If you are still in the house and feeling like something has to happen first,
and feeling sorry for yourself,
the thing is something you have to initiate.
Absolutely.
You have to activate.
Absolutely.
Talking about season, my love, we are in a new quarter of 2023. And maybe we can leave
the second quarter
of 2023. 2 out of 4. We are starting April. And some of you can look at it and say it's the end of a quarter. You can look at it as the beginning of a new quarter. And so our perspective and attitude, like you are saying, whether we are in this quarter, we are going to be kicked by life, or we are going to be forward and kicking doors open. Yeah. That sets a tone where you have to decide. Like you are saying, you have to decide which season is yours. You can decide in this quarter from April, May, June. April, May, June. April, May, June. You can decide that this is season where I'm willing to go more boldly on my dreams. And it's a launching pad, man, because we attended the 𝐀𝐸 album launch, man. And Daddy talked about, how the story where they were hosting an event, how everything changed within hours. God coming through.
Basically, God sponsored
things. God wants you to put yourself out there.
Absolutely.
And to say, no, I can't do this one, I leave to God, and God takes over. How many times, honey, have we sat down without stuff we needed and say, God, this one we leave to you, and God doing more than what we thought? Even just this past week, there were things we needed. And I said, you know what, God, I'm leaving to you. And I'm leaving to you until Friday. If by Friday you are not done, I'll be sitting home. And immediately in the morning, by Friday, He did things.
Yeah.
The attitude for progress and elevation is not for those who are prepared. It's not for those who have everything figured out.
Yeah.
It's not for those who already have support. Man, there's a level of support which is massive and divine and spiritual that comes when you are not even ready. By just telling God, this is something I want to do. I feel it in my spirit. You have assigned me to do this thing.
But I don't have the resources.
And I don't have the resources. I don't have the networks. I don't have the contacts. I don't have anything that I can prove to people that this I can do. But I know I have you, and you can be able to make things happen. That attitude is what we need for this new season.
Absolutely.
No matter what you want to start, no matter what you want to do, I am telling you, it does not require preparedness. It requires submission and submitting it before God and saying, I know this thing I want to do. I want to start this podcast. I want to start this salon. I want to write this book. I want to release this song as you are working on your song. I want to be part of Forbes as you are now in the Forbes. All these things, I've heard you talk about them, honey.
Yes.
I've heard you say them. I have heard you put them before God. And when I see them manifest, and sometimes I'm working on a deal that is giving me a challenge, I can't even come in and say, hey, this thing giving me a challenge. I've seen God blessing you 3 minutes ago. Now I go back to God and say, God, as you have blessed her, as I've seen in the neighborhood, as I've seen my wife being promoted, as I've seen her contract after contract, favor after favor, finishing her master's degree now into PhD. Now I believe that there is a God who is alive for this season of the second quarter. You decide how much you are going to get. Everything is available. You decide how much you want to get.
Wow. Do I have to say anything after that?
Yes, you can say something. You can say something.
I think we have to understand that when we talk about readiness, you can never be fully ready for anything.
Yeah.
Even when you are preparing for an exam, you can never be 100% ready for the exam. And what makes you confident is not the 100% readiness.
Yes.
But it is the effort you put to prepare for something. You don't need to be 100% prepared. You just need to do something that gets you closer to what you want to do, and also just to know and to understand that God is in the mission of helping people, and He's just looking for someone who has the dream and who really takes the dream to Him. If you are going to look at your resources, you are most likely never going to start anything.
Yeah.
If you are going to look at your resources, and when I'm talking about the resources, I know that you are thinking about
money, materials, resources.
There are a lot of things that I look at when I talk about the resources. For example, I am a recording artist, I'm a musician. One of the biggest resource I need is vocals.
Yeah.
And sometimes you think you have to sing like a certain person for people to accept who you are, or for you to record music. You know it's there, the light is there, the desire is there, the passion is right inside of you. But you are waiting to go through 10 years vocal training before you record your music. And you want to sing like a certain person, Yeah. But the truth is that what you have is enough for God. Yes. And God is not going to use things that you don't have. He uses what you have to multiply you for His for His glory. Your favorite scripture of bring the empty containers. And we talk about the loaves and the fish that were multiplied. Yeah. So I think that life is all about that. You see someone doing something, and tomorrow they are doing something on top of what they have done. They're like, hey, the goat is goat. I feel like being a goat, like we know what being a goat means, like being the greatest of all times. You have to start with what you have.
Amen.
You don't have to have everything figured out. You actually need to have a God you believe in, because man, I never want to leave the God part out of the conversation.
Yeah.
Because it's easy for people to say, you are doing this, you are doing this, you are doing this. What keeps me, what keeps him, what keeps us afloat is the belief that we are not in this alone.
Yes.
God is in this.
Yes.
When I'm having an idea and I'm trying to work on it, it's like things are not going the way that I want. I'm reminded that who gave me the thought is God. So God sponsors thoughts.
Amen.
Yeah.
I couldn't have said it better than she said. At the end of our lives, at the end of the day, we have God to account to.
Yeah.
And everything else, your being and your existence, sums up to His assignment. And we do believe that we are going to talk much more about purpose in our upcoming episodes. We're going to talk about direction. We're going to talk about more spirituality, even in your personal lives, your relationships.
We're going to talk about a lot of things.
Man, every day, even sometimes when we think we are prepared for a topic, we find that no, we have something in store.
Yeah, I think that we have never had a moment where we talked about something that we prepared for.
Never.
Yeah, it's just us coming here, having the conversation
and
that we have
ourselves
without the camera.
I know this is the end of the podcast, but I'm thinking of sometimes when you told me you were in Kasane, young girl in Kasane, that I never thought I would meet. And you availed yourself to church, Lighthouse Ministries, to sing, even to be a backup vocalist.
Yeah.
Because your aunt, carried you there, may her soul rest in peace. And you availed yourself to sing.
Yeah.
And at that moment, did you think that one day you're going to release a song?
No, I didn't think one day. You know what I was actually thinking? I love the singing. So you know that when I lay this thing that cooks pap.
Yes.
Hey,
I can call it the Kasane way, it's okay.
I'll sing with it. And sometimes, especially when my mother is cooking, I'll take listen and then I'll sing with it, like, yeah, it's mama now a story. And I could, and she'll say, I say increases the volume.
Yes.
So I always loved the singing, and I was at church on Saturdays and Sundays for music. I was following my aunt. Basically, I was following my aunt. And what kept me in church was actually the love for music, because I praise and worship. So when everybody was going for Sunday school, I never attended Sunday school because I preferred singing.
Yeah.
So I was the only little child on Arata music.
Yeah.
And I spent most of my time in choiring. And so the girl just loved music. I love music. There are two things that I'm very passionate about that I think everything that I do today, it just goes around it.
Music,
language, talking basically, and teaching. I can say music and teaching. So what I teach really depends on what platform I have.
And also talking about teaching, it's music that go to China. Yeah. And you go to China and say, I want to come back, and you decided now I want to learn even the language. But what I wanted to bring to the conclusion of the conversation was, you can get even to the people. Be available.
Yeah.
In the second quarter,
be there.
Be available to be used. Don't think of your qualification, please. Don't think of your experience.
Yeah.
Avail yourself and see God take you from glory to glory. He has an assignment. Some people have given an assignment, they've decided they are not going to do it.
Yeah.
If you are available, that could be the start of your journey.
Yeah.
That could be your rebirth. That could be the time you unleash your potential.
That's it.
So thank you so much. Guys, thank you so much. This is the Makwanas.
Thank you so much for watching the Makwanas Podcast.
Yeah.
This is our 5th episode.
5th episode.
Give me a high five.
Another high five. Another high five. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you so much for watching. We don't take it for granted, like I always say. You tune in, you take time to watch. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much for hitting the subscribe button. If you didn't hit the subscribe button, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. We need it for more reach. Yeah. So, babe, thank you for doing this with me.
I couldn't have done with anyone else in the world. You are the right person at the right moment. Let's do this thing called life. Thank you so much. Make sure to leave your comment. Don't be shy to leave your comment. What did you learn today? That is really, really impactful.
Yeah, and just tell us also your own experience. Did you relate to anything that we were talking about? And if you want something that, there's something in your mind you want us to cover in our next episode, please make sure to leave a comment. Thank you so much. We love you so much. Have yourself a beautiful month of April. If you're going to see this after April, man, have yourself a blast.
And, you know, talking about the comments, it's so funny that people meet us every day on the malls. Like, 7 people so far. Like, Mr. Makwana, I'll be thinking maybe they've seen me from a certain, maybe show segment. They say, no, I watch you and your wife.
From the podcast.
Please stop telling me you watch me and my wife. Leave the comment. Leave the comment. Leave the comment. We are looking forward to that. And man, there's so much great news coming. If you have been listening to me for the past 6 years.
How about we put it this way?
Hey.
If you want to hear the good news, make sure that you tune in for the next podcast. I get it now, I'm the wife, so I'm the manager, even in the...
Thank you so much.
So see you in the next episode.
Invite your friends and your colleagues to watch. Bye-bye.